All right, so in this video, there are two things that I want to go over. We're going to begin with the whole controlled consciousness section and run through the mastery method, but we're also going to fill out our content pillars or interests in the content incubator. So we have those, and those are kind of knocked out for now because, as I keep saying, this is not linear. This is all intersected, all encompassing, and I need you to treat it as that until we get to the parts where everything starts to make sense. Okay, so trust the process here, but in the meantime, I hope it is giving you some clarity on where to take your brand. So the first thing is, let's go over the mastery method. The mastery method, in my eyes, is one, how you understand yourself. You start to dissect and understand what interests you have, where those interests intersect, the utility behind the interests, so the problems that they can solve, and you start to uncover bigger problems that you can solve for your life's work and create content around. So the first step with this is self-evaluation and understanding. So from the previous section of this, I asked you to take the MBTI personality test. Now, I am an ENFJ, and I guess I should probably look that up, but MBTI ENFJ, just so we can see this. So I am the protagonist. That's me, right? And you can read through this, but look, strengths and weaknesses. Like, how accurate, if you've read through these, it's insanely accurate. It is like scarily accurate, and that's a good thing, because at that point, if it's scarily accurate to you, that means you can scarily target someone with this same personality type. I'm sure I attract a lot of ENFJs or very people that are very similar to that, or like maybe the people that would have good friendships or romantic relationships with, or something like that, right? But you can start to identify what kind of products or services you would enjoy pursuing. You know your strengths and your weaknesses, you know your romantic relationships. You start to gain a picture of your own personality, and I want you to notice what things stick out to you. What sticks out to you where it's like, you got that right, like that, yep, that's a right, that's correct. And so let's see. Let me see if I can find something here and like whip up a quick content idea out of nowhere. It has a quote: "When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful." You could create something from that. But speaking up for what's right, that's a content idea right there. Like, let's go to Tweet Hunter really quick, and don't tolerate disrespect. Hold yourself to a higher standard. What's a third point? Don't tolerate disrespect. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Make your thoughts and actions congruent. And then sum it all up with, the people that aren't afraid to speak up will see the most success, right? First iteration, right? Again, I'm big on first iterations. It's not only in terms of bigger picture things, it's in terms of content. And now I can add this as a new draft, and I can come back through when I'm creating content, and I can edit it and make it more impactful and follow different content creation things. So like, you can see that all of this stuff is content creation, and it's all about how the idea that you have applies to your audience or applies to you, whether you're educating them, inspiring them, or entertaining them. And this is mostly education or inspiration. So that's what you do, right? Bit of a side tangent there. But now the next thing is, what problems are you aware of in your life right now? What could this shed light on in terms of your weaknesses? So let's see. Weaknesses. Unrealistic. I'm not. Okay. I am unrealistic because I have big visions, right? So I could create a tweet on how, like, not thinking so small. And then the next thing, overly idealistic, condescending, yeah, intense, overly empathetic. And so you're starting to become aware of problems in your own life right now. But you can also think of this in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, what problems are you actively trying to solve? Like, what keeps you up at night, right? Is it, for me, when I was younger, it was getting a 9 to 5 job. I wanted to avoid that as much as possible. That was a goal of mine. It doesn't have to be a goal of yours. But getting a 9 to 5 job, not knowing what business I want to pursue. Let's see. I'm in the dating market right now, so, but I'm like not that bad at it. But a problem, it could be like how to. Is online dating still a thing? How to send the best Tinder DM, who knows, something like that. But you see what this is doing. This is shedding light on problems for you to solve, and you solve them through self-education, and you get content ideas through self-education, right? Or just like consuming and learning, right, under a specific context. So if I'm trying to avoid getting a 9 to 5 job, it's like, okay, now we go on to interests. What interests are going to help me solve those problems? Or what am I just interested in? Because if they apply to the problems that you have, then they apply to other people's problems, and the interest has utility already when you know it already solves a problem. So let's say how to build an online business. Now that's not very specific, but if you don't have anything else specific, then you need to start with that. So if I were to go more specific, it would be how to land my first client in the DMs, something like that, right? What's another interest of mine? I want to eventually try producing EDM. So that'd be fun to learn. I don't know. Maybe it'll tie in, maybe it won't. But I'm also interested a lot in human potential, psychology, etc. I'm interested in spirituality. And then once you write out these interests and start to gain a deeper understanding of what you actually want to talk about, then you can go through the interest evaluation section. So what are you already doing on a day-to-day basis that brings you joy? So what are you consuming right now? What are you doing right now that you may or may not know is an interest area of yours? I love going to the gym. I've been enjoying paying attention to my nutrition. What else am I doing? I really like writing. I love writing, especially long form. What else? I enjoy walking. And so, like, these things, I've solved problems in my life, and that's why my life is good, because of these. So do I have expertise in one of these? If not, which one would I want to start learning about right now? So I'm approaching this as a beginner, right? So I don't have anything solidified for me right now as I'm walking through this. So do I already have expertise? I would say in health, yes. I have studied that for a long time, and I'm very confident in my ability to get results with that. But this is all optional. So I have health, and that incorporates walks, nutrition, and the gym. So maybe I should have been a health guy, but I'm enjoying this stuff a lot more. So if you have expertise in another area, can you see how this interest can solve a similar problem? Can you see how the topics intersect? So I also have expertise in branding. Let's say branding, right? That's a more complicated one. Now, how does that intersect with things up here, and what problems does it solve? So branding, how to build an online business, branding is a very big part of that. That intersects. Spirituality it doesn't seem like it connects to you, but it connects to me because I've made that connection, and I talk about branding from a spiritual lens all the time. I mean, you can even see in here vision or controlling your consciousness or all this other stuff is kind of sort of spirituality and philosophy, but baked into business, and it solves the problem. It brings a very unique perspective to making more money or just being able to kind of do what you love for a living, for lack of a better term. But you can see what I'm getting at here. And then what interests are you going to go all in on for the next month? Now, this incorporates what we talked about previous to this video in the section that you're reading on the dashboard about what interest you're going to prioritize and go in on and dive deep into, right? So remember, in the actual graph, you have an interest that makes you money, you have an interest that you like talking about and excites you, and then you have an interest that complements that. So which one are you going to go in on? Which one's the priority? Now, for making money, which is good to upskill yourself and choose something, that would be either like a marketing skill or health or just something that other people are doing that you would want to do as well. What are you already immersed in that you could see yourself doing? I'm assuming that's why you joined this cohort, is because you have some form of an idea of what you want to do. Now, with that, what are you going to go all in on and learn for that entire month? What are you going to dissect? And so, are other people already monetizing this? The answer is probably yes. If the answer is no for you, then you may just be looking at something that is positioned a completely different way. So productivity, for example, can be positioned and targeted as, like, let's say to creators, as a content system, right? That's specific knowledge where I'm using my productivity knowledge and expertise to help creators with a specific solution that will make their content creation process faster. So that's like a little introduction to positioning, which we go into in the master's tier. But think about this, like contemplate on this, because I can't give you all the answers here. You have to put this down and contemplate it, because what contemplation does is it starts to prime the neural networks in your brain for when that experience comes, and it primes you to gain awareness in that area. So whether you feel like you aren't making any progress at all on this, you're making progress, I promise. And so how deep of a biological problem can this solve? Is the problem superficial, or does it help people reach their biological needs? Now, most things can be positioned towards a biological problem. So health, biological problem, we're talking like Maslow's hierarchy of needs again, which we talked about in Digital Economics 101, where the problem with health is that, one, you may die early. That threatens your survival. You may just look ugly and may not be able to attract a potential partner. So that hits like ending up alone or sexual companionship. What's the other thing? Your health definitely impacts the amount of money you can make, your perceived status in the world, how you look. There's a lot of biological problems there. And I want you to just take a second and research and try to figure this answer out. So now, interest immersion. And as I said, this can be a new interest for you, or it can be something that you already know you want to go all in on. So for this helps you kind of refine your interest as well, is write down the three books that impacted your life the most. Power of Now for sure. Way of the Superior Man. What's another one? Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi was also a very good one. Social media accounts. I've been on a Naval kick lately. Zach Pograb has great tweets. Who's another person that I just like really respect? I like Jack Butcher. So those are good. Write down YouTube channels or Medium writers. So this is mainly for content idea generation, where I generate the majority of like my viral content comes from generating ideas from popular YouTube videos or popular Medium articles. And we'll dive into this more in content creation. But who's a favorite YouTube channel of mine? Nathaniel Drew. I love that dude's work, and it's served as a big inspiration for mine. Tim Tim Denning on Medium, which is funny because we're like really good friends now. And that's the power of all of this is like when I was starting at zero on Twitter, I was like studying Tim Denning on Medium, and he had like a couple 100,000 followers. And now I'm helping him with Twitter and he's helping me with Medium. So it's funny because like these people that you aspire to be like, you eventually meet. Like it's crazy how many people follow me on Twitter that I used to watch all the time on YouTube. I got on podcasts with Rob Lipsett and that dude like got me into fitness. It's actually insane how much is possible with all of this stuff. And it's hard to explain unless you just do it, and you have to do it. So interest immersion checklist. So purchase one popular book or audiobook or one of your favorite books relating to the interest that you plan on going all in on. So the thing you want to build authority in this place. So you purchase a book because a book has like 10 years of experience in one. It teaches you the principles, it teaches you the nuances, it gives you content ideas. You just have to read the book for that 1 month. Make it a habit, read for 30 minutes at night, go on walks with your audiobook, and tell me you don't have content ideas, because it's not going to happen. And then subscribe to 2 long-form resources, so blog or podcast, to learn about the nuances. So if you're learning about health, for example, you can go and find a podcast like the Ben Greenfield podcast or other things like that and start listening to those. Subscribe to YouTube channels so you can start to research and start getting mentors in a sense to follow for all of this stuff. So the next thing is follow 3 social media accounts, preferably on Twitter, because we're going to be starting on Twitter, and you want to expose yourself to good tweet writing in the area that you want to write tweets. So, and then repeat when you're ready to dive into another interest. Now, when you are going through this, after 1 month of this, so by the time this cohort is over, you are going to come back in here and you are going to figure out, did I enjoy researching that interest? Do I want to continue researching that? Am I excited to apply the teachings to my own life? Could I see myself creating content about this? Have you already created content about this? Is it hard to shut up when you're talking about it with your friends and family? And do you find that the interest plays well into, do you find another interest that plays well into the one you chose, right? Because if you start with the interest of online business and then you're like, okay, I tried this e-commerce brand, but I don't really like it anymore. So I'm going to try freelancing, right? That's perfectly fine. That works out very well. And I would argue that that is still mastery because you're mastering an iceberg here, right? You're becoming an expert in an area. And in order to become an expert in, let's say, freelancing, then you should have pretty damn good knowledge on everything it takes to create a business model in other areas, right? That's what's going to give you the most firepower to navigate and talk about different conversations relating to your interest area. So that's the mastery method. Take some time, fill this out, gain some clarity. And now once you're done with that, we're going to go back to the main Creator Command Center, go to the content incubator. And now there's a few things in here, but the main thing I'm focused on are these pillars. This is your domain of mastery, and this is what most of your content ideas are going to come from. So let's start with one, right? If you are focused on building authority right now, start with one of these. So pillar 1 is going to be, let's say I want to become an authority in spirituality. And then topic 1, what's a good topic in spirituality? I guess mindfulness. So subtopics would be emotional regulation, emotional intelligence, meditation. I guess stoicism could kind of play a role in mindfulness. Reframing. You could write out a bunch of different stuff here, but now you have things to create content from. So let's say emotional intelligence. So I could read the book Emotional Intelligence and do that. But real world problems this could solve. So ends suffering, helps you be less stressed, improves your quality of life without relying on material gain. And then you can embed tweets that people write on mindfulness. So I don't have any at the top of my mind, but you can go through this and you can start to create. We're going to have to go back into here since I didn't open it as a page, which I will do now. But then what's another thing in spirituality? I don't know. Mindfulness is kind of a pretty big one. Consciousness is a good one, or awareness. So awareness, I could read the book Awareness by Anthony DeMello, and write out a bunch of things for here. And I recommend that you do this. I'm trying to come up with it off the top of my head when spirituality is an interest of mine, but it's more so like I kind of sort of talk about it. But then this is all a process of iteration again. So let's run through this. Digital economy. That's just my fancy way of saying online business without it seeming like, ooh, online business, that sounds weird. But topic 1, let's say audience building. And now with all of this, I want to bring up an example for this because this is very powerful. The main thing here is as you're on the timeline or as you're doing something, you need to keep in mind that you can embed tweets here based on the certain things that like you want to emulate. So I'm very big on Naval's thread. I've been breaking this down. Like this thread alone has created months worth of content for me just because I like all of this stuff. This was in the very first part of this module because I like how he says things, right? It's like, damn, I wish I wrote that because I would say this a completely different way. And I did. And that's the good thing about it is like, how are you going to say it in a different way that makes sense to the people that you are trying to attract? That is how you build an audience, is you take an idea and you talk about it from your perspective relating to your values, your life experiences, and how you make sense of that specific idea. So we're just getting started here and we're just priming all of this, but I recommend you come through and you fill these out to the best of your ability and what you actually want to do. At a bare minimum, focus on the one that you want to build authority in, whether that be marketing, health, wealth, relationships, whatever it may be, the one thing that you could see yourself doing for a long period of time. And then down here, we're not going to go over this. We'll go over this in another video. But that is it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video.